so thank you. So let's get this party rolling. So here are some words as I think about social justice and justice, and I want you to look at them and take them in. What do they mean to you? What triggers you? What resonates with you? What slide would you have as you think about what social justice looks like? Oftentimes it's complex, at least it is for me. Sometimes it's complicated. Many times I get to this place of, is it impossible to find this solution of equity? And when I'm in that space, I take a step back, I take a deep breath, and I think about my journey, my challenges, my joys, and what I have done. And so as I think about my dear friend, Dr. Craig Elliott, as I was struggling around, what am I going to do? What am I going to talk about? We were sharing our story. And with excitement, if you know Craig, he said, you've got to do it on this. And so my hope is that you find some connection to the story. I believe storytelling is powerful, it is rich, it gets us to a place of healing, and it connects us to our own humanity. And our humanities are intertwined with each other. And within this next story about myself, my hope is that you can find some pieces that you relate into. So at age 40, I have the bucket list, and I wanted to run a half marathon by age 40, and I'm now 41. And I don't like running. In fact, I hate it. I'm in this very non-athletic, never played sports body. And as I trained, I learned to like it, and then I learned to love it. And there I am. And I was like a turtle, not a rabbit. And as I was running, I had all these stereotypes about who should run. And as I was doing that, there were all different ages and body sizes and shapes just running past me. And then I got to this place of, I think all runners should be thin, right? Not so much the case. I gained weight in spaces that I wasn't used to, and I didn't really know what to do with that, particularly in my space of body image and body size, and how do I embrace running and love it. And I had this tension around, I know I'm supposed to do some weight training, at least that's what they say, and I love running, and I didn't know what to do with that. I didn't know what to do with that tension. Do I do yoga? But I love to run. Do I do strength training? But I love to run. And so then I walked into this place called CrossFit. This craze, right? And I didn't know much about it, but I know that you didn't have to be this huge athlete, that you didn't have to be the strongest, that you were just going to get better at whatever it is that you started. And so I decided to take the risk. And I walked into this place, and I thought, what is this? Now, it wasn't the gym I was used to, and for me, that is intimidating. And I got scared, my heart pounded, there was nobody in there yet. And so, in that space of fear, I walked on out. And then I took a breath, and lots of deep breaths for like 10 minutes. And then I decided, you know what, Becky, you have a goal, and let's be vulnerable. I was vulnerable to not knowing. Right? I was vulnerable to not being able to do something, and that's really difficult for me. Right? And vulnerable to my body. And then, these are my coaches, and this is who I met. And I have to say, at first I was skeptical. Because in all of the work I do around race, I was like, more white folks. And I had to trust them, and I didn't know if I could do that as I was in this space of vulnerability. And then this space of believing in yourself became possible. And within that white space, I didn't know who they were. I didn't institutionally, systematically trust them, and I didn't know them individually, and they supported me in ways that I'm not used to. So I had all these white folks giving me this unconditional support to be me. So I had a conversation with my really good friend, Crystal, who does CrossFit somewhere else. And so as women of color, I talked with her and I said, what's this thing around race when they're giving me all this support, and how do you take that in? And she said, yes, I experience that all the time. And how are the ways in which we deal that from a race lens? The very popular slide. And what I realized is that there's so much out there to be able to trust folks. There's so much below the surface. And so these aspen trees have these amazing root systems, right? And how our humanity is connected with each other to get these beautiful trees that are all different to create this amazing, beautiful picture. As we think about justice, that's really important to me. So these are my peeps, or at least some of them that I get to do social justice work with. And they have taught me to find my humanity and my wholeness. They have taught me the places where I recognize justice in those white folks that really give me unconditional support in supporting CrossFit. And then I think about where I've been and where I have to go in this journey around justice and creating equity in this world. And so what are the steps that I have to take to move forward, even in that space of fear, even in that space of vulnerability, and even in that space of not knowing. And so, tattoos. I really am in this space of doing is being. And so how am I being in my wholeness? How am I being in my humanity? How am I being in my values? How am I being in the space of justice so that I can then do it from an authentic, effective space? So we all have stories, and we all have twists and turns in our stories, which has allowed us to be here at 10 p.m. ACPA the last night. I invite us to reflect on our stories and to share our stories so that we can connect with each other's humanity around what social justice looks like. Thank you very much.